Merry Christmas Eve, everyone. I've been spending my evening listening to the battle royale between Lev Parnas and Ben Meiselas. Lev Parnas is the host of a show called Lev Remembers, and if you recall from the last decade, he was also involved in the campaign against Ukraine by working with Rudy Giuliani and trying to get dirt on the Biden family. In fact, I think he ended up apologizing to Hunter Biden. He did a lot of damage, and he was MAGA. And after listening to Lev spout so much BS, I'm embarrassed for his son, and I'm sure that his son will feel some compassion for his dad, but he's acting like a mobster. Everything that he was beefing about was just really a mixture of too much personal, and his concern for Ukraine is fabulous. We care about Ukraine. I do. I think any smart American does. And I would like to see more coverage. And I think Lev has done a great job in covering Ukraine because he knows all the characters. As he's often says, he's been in the room with them, with Trump and the rest. He knows them. He knows Giuliani. He knows what fools they are. But sometimes Lev is a fool too. And we love him for what he's doing, but he's really hurting. He's just hurting things right now. And maybe not. He's generating controversy. I'm here talking about it. And as you know, I'm the author of Raising Healthy Kids, Protecting Your Children from Hidden Chemical Toxins, which you can get at Amazon.com. And I believe in a strong democracy. And in my writing, I talk about how hidden chemical toxins, pesticides, forever chemicals, substances in our drinking water so profoundly affect our health, and we're not being told about it. That's about democracy too. I work in legal advocacy. I thought Ben Meiselas responded very well to everything Lev said. What I liked about Ben is he didn't really have a beef. He didn't know that Lev was so angry about Michael Cohen or just distrusted him. And Lev's distrust of Michael Cohen, who, as you know, also, I think, was one of the most instrumental people in getting Trump elected the first time by participating in the Stormy Weathers cover-up. I think he was horrible in that way. And I think his testimony and redemption was probably more because he got caught and had no choice. I distrust anyone like Lev and Michael. I just trust them both. They're both convicted felons, as far as I think the record is. If I'm wrong, let me know. I'll correct it. But I believe both have been convicted. Well, I know Michael has, and I'm pretty sure Lev has too. I think they both have. I don't trust them. I think they were both misdirected. I never wanted to see Trump. I didn't want to be near him. That doesn't take a high IQ either. It takes a moral compass, though, which these two folks had lost. Maybe they've got it back. I don't know. So when those two are arguing, it's like, have fun. But the beef that Lev apparently has with Cohen takes us to a third podcast host, Tara Palmieri, who I think has done an incredibly good job on just in general broadcasting, but also particularly with the Epstein files. She brings a lot of interesting information. I think she's pretty straightforward on it too. But when she was questioning Michael Cohen, when he was on the show, she thought, or it seemed to be going in a direction where she thought Michael had actually done some work in shielding Trump from potentially someone whom he had abused sexually. And Cohen was adamant in saying it didn't add up, but Palmieri did a good line of questioning. And when the show ended, you had to really wonder who was right. Either one of them could have been right, which means that Lev took it as, hey, I think Cohen is defending Trump now or dissembling. Well, Cohen was the attorney for Trump, and so he might be governed by attorney-client privilege still, even though I believe he's been disbarred, 99% sure. Well, so that may be part of it. And Lev says that when it comes to Trump and Epstein, Cohen has no memory. I think Cohen often gets it wrong, by the way. I think his judgment is just off. There are things here which, he may defend he'll say, well, I don't know. I didn't know Trump in the 90s, and I only met Trump in the mid 2000s, which is all true. So he really plays dumb at times, and Lev called him on that. But you can look at any other bit of the evidence and say whether he participated by actually attacking underage girls, and I call it an attack, whether he did that or not. He hung around a really ugly character. I wouldn't even want to hang around this fellow. Nutlick, or Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, got turned off by him the first time he was in there. And Nutlick is not the brightest bulb in the shed. So it doesn't take a lot to realize you don't want to be around these people. And the fact that Trump just shows so much about his character. And Michael sometimes seems to be giving Trump a pass on Epstein, say, well, I didn't know him. Yeah, but there's a lot of other evidence that's just there, circumstantial and a lot that's being hidden. So Lev is on Cohen about over Epstein, and I think, Lev claims that his big beef is over his son, who works for Midas Touch, or is associated with them, I should say. And Midas Touch, he was going to sub for Michael Cohen, and Lev, with his feelings about Cohen, got really upset about it. But instead of dealing with all of this where he should have, just behind the scenes, because it all could have been resolved, he went on the air this weekend and just let it all hang out. And there was so much vitriol, it made me not trust him again. I mean, he's a known, he created that whole scheme to get Biden invested by, going to some corrupt folks in Ukraine that had high positions in power. And it was just not pretty. All the things he did were dirty. And so his son did this podcast today, Friday, that will be on Friday. This is Christmas Eve, for Michael Cohen's show on the Midas Touch, and he got upset about that. But then he started getting upset about Midas Touch not covering Ukraine well enough, not breaking news. And you know what, Lev? Everyone covers what's happening now in their own best way, and you do a great job. But don't put down Midas Touch for what they're doing, and don't just start calling them leftists. You know what? They are presenting a lot of facts, a lot of unknown things. They scour the internet, they watch the news. I can't do that. And they bring a lot of good stuff to the table, and you know that. They just cover it different than you. You know the people, you get other kinds of insights, and you bring them too. But you didn't have to go on a tirade like this. I see you all the time on Midas Touch. In fact, up until a few weeks ago, you had a show with Michael Cohen and Malcolm Nance that was really a good show. And now what you've done is blown it all. I mean, you've left everyone so chill in the bad way towards you, cold, not chill, but cold towards you. If Midas Touch brings you back on the air, it's like they're showing the munificence, the forgiveness, because you were really creepy this weekend. You got a lot of people to comment, and I commented on it, but you didn't need to do all that. Your reporting is great. Midas Touch's reporting is good. You didn't need to attack Midas Touch the way you did. They just report differently than you. You have different connections. Then you started putting down Ken Harbaugh. Eventually, you came around to say, okay, he's being out there in Crane, being on the front lines does matter because he's bringing us the news too. And I listen to him. And it's important. And a lot of people listen to him. And, you could have probably gotten more time with the network if you had just kept your trap shut and dealt with this in a more reasonable manner. Most of this was just a misunderstanding. And man, if this is the way you resolve issues, I don't see why they'd want to work with you. I mean, Cohen isn't the most trustworthy person based on his history. He did some really bad things. We all know that. Now whatever he's doing, maybe he's trying to make up for it. Maybe it's just because he can't practice law and he's doing what he's doing. As I said, he came to this because he got caught. I don't know that he would have reformed otherwise. So I don't trust his judgment because he made a big error and he was a mature human being when he made that error by helping Trump get elected. And you got to watch out. Don't start getting on people because they have a left view, a leftist view. The way democracy wins is by addition. We take in a lot of people. We don't need the Fuentes and those types. No, we don't. But we can take in a lot of people and try to get to a reasonable and good forward moving movement, and so don't put down people who are leaning to the left, which you did too. You just sounded really frustrated. And I think Ben Meiselas, who practices law, I believe in California, I think he teaches at USC, where one of my kids attended school, and where one of the counsel with whom we work got his law degree too. I think he did a great job in diffusing the situation. He asked questions. He used the Socratic method. He diffused you. He kind of showed you for who you are, and everyone will forgive you. But you know what? It's interesting podcast material, so I appreciate it that way, and I hope you guys get it resolved. But the bigger issue here is just protecting this country. And the big news tonight wasn't your spat. It was the Supreme Court ruling. And if you hadn't spent an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of podcast time, and then taken up Meiselas's time to come on your podcast tonight, you know what? We could have been recovering the Supreme Court ruling that Trump can't use National Guard troops in Chicago. And that probably means he can't do it in LA, New Orleans, Portland, and wherever else he wants to bring them, New York City. Okay? That was the big news. And you stepped on it. You did something else to it too, but I'll keep it clean. Anyway, This is David Steinman. My family's been here a long time too, but whether your family's been here a long time or a few years, if you care about democracy, that's what's important right now. Okay. You can get my podcast at YouTube, David Steinman _author. You can get my new book, Raising Healthy Kids, Protecting Your Children from Hidden Chemical Toxins, at Amazon.com or by using the link in this post. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy Hanukkah. Merry Kwanzaa.